All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for taking the time out to be here today. I'm Karan Mulchandani, the founder of Enlightened Sapiens. And as you all know, we've been holding these sessions every weekend on various topics from art and gardening and nature, self care. And all of these sessions are free. And the reason why they're free, even though there's a lot of time, effort, and resources that go into it, because it is our goal or our aim for us to help you discover your passion, for us to help you understand what makes you happy and make it easier, not have a barrier for you to start your journey into what something that makes you happy so that you can further your passion, further your interest, and one day when you have the knowledge, you can come back and help the community out with your knowledge. And there's some good news I'd like to share is that our community is now 10,000 strong. If you haven't checked out our Instagram or YouTube page, you should definitely check it out. That's where we are helping share our knowledge and helping everyone learn. And that's what we're here to do, correct? We're here to learn something new, something interesting, or something that we are passionate about. And that is the essence of Enlightened Sapiens. We are a community that encourages you to grow and learn with the things that you love so that when you're ready, you can give back with this knowledge, making it easier for someone else to do the same. And today we have Anurag Karikar, who wishes to give back with his knowledge on nature. So, a little bit about Anurag. Anurag is a wildlife enthusiast and is really passionate about conservation and ecological projects. He is a professional nature educator and also the projects director at the Naturalist Foundation. He's also worked for over 6 months in the Andamans as a nature interpreter, and that's what he's going to do today. He's going to help us He's going to use his vast knowledge of the Andamans, his practical, real world knowledge of the Andamans, and take us through a visual journey of the diverse and amazing species and wildlife found in the Andamans. So we're going to begin shortly. So you all know that the session is interactive. So use the chat box or use the raise hand button, but keep it clean so that we have only relevant questions and we can actually get to your questions. So without any further ado, I'd like you to introduce you to Anurag. Hey, Anurag.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Karan, for the fantastic introduction. And it's lovely to be over here. It's fantastic to see that so many people have joined in. Am I audible? Is the audio clear?
All great, man. All great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's fantastic to see all of you guys joined over here. And today we are going to dive in a bit of the world of marine life and see what are different ways, because we all know that you can check out. We had some first fantastic visuals by Enlightened team. The videos that you have been playing for so long, they are a bit representation of the wildlife that you can see, but these are something that are captured by people with proper gear, with proper cameras, and then they are capturing everything, right? But we are going to explore how you as a tourist, or you as a guest to the Andamans, you can explore the marine life of the place and see how it is. Okay, so I will quickly join in. I'll have created a presentation. I will be joining it, and then we'll check out if you have any questions, or you're wondering anything and anything, you can definitely put your questions in the chat box and I'll be taking a look at them. Yeah. Uh, I have one presentation that I'm presenting. Karan, can you just allow me to?
Of course. Please go ahead.
Yeah, got it. Okay. So That's it. Exploring the underwater world of Andamans. Let's go to our first slide. Okay. So I want to begin with a very simple question: Is have you been to the Andamans? And a more important question than that is, what is your perspective of Andamans? What is your perception of Andamans? When you think of Andamans, what do you think about? And when is the occasion? What is the occasion you would like to be to Andamans? Let me check what are the replies. Okay, we have got some people interested in scuba diving. Okay, wow, we have one person who has visited 3 times. Okay, so we have one person interested in the geographic features of the Barren Island. That's the only active volcano that is there in India. Yes, yes, snorkeling. Fantastic. Okay, so we have got so many different replies, and but now another question is, yes, we have got so many people interested in the biodiversity and things like that. But what usually when you're planning a trip, what is in my 6 months of working in Andamans, what I saw that a lot of people were those who are coming to the Andamans were either coming for their honeymoon. Okay, the stereotype that was set in their minds about the Andamans was either it's a trip that they plan for very, very, very special occasions. And usually, when you're planning to go for these kind of either for your marriage, either for your honeymoon, or either for any other activity, you're a bit distracted from the actual features of Andamans. The second usual stereotype is that you are going there for luxury, and another stereotype is that Andaman itself is a very, very expensive place. No doubt there are a lot of expensive resorts. It is an island, so there are a lot of things that are inevitably expensive to travel, and going to that place is a bit expensive. But there are some features that you can experience of an Andamans without having the high cost or without feeling the burden that it has to be a luxury trip. And the last stereotype that I feel is it's a once in a lifetime trip. You are planning to visit Andamans only, you're planning for it. You are saving money. There are so many people who have even wrote in the comment that it's their dream to visit to Andamans and to experience the scuba diving and the pristine marine life. Well, so even for me, before I went to Andamans, that was my perception of Andamans. It's a once in a lifetime trip. If I'm going in my lifetime, then I will be going only once. But now, after experiencing it, I think there's no way one single trip is possible, is able to comprehend what Andamans and Nicobar has to offer. Okay, so quickly, what we are going to do is we are going to take a look the uh, at the map of Andamans so that we get an understanding of what Andamans is. Hold on. So here we are, the beautiful islands of Andamans. Now, one important perspective is that Andaman and Nicobar is no way close to India. It is more close to Thailand or Myanmar or Sumatra than it is to India. Actually, even Sri Lanka is much more closer to India than Andaman and Nicobar Islands are. So this is usually the geography is something that is very difficult to comprehend when we are talking about the Andamans. And the reason I'm saying I spent over 6 months in Andamans just on this tiny island of Havelock, or how is recently known as Swaraj Deep. But this is the entirety of Andamans, and this main island that you see is just the Andaman Island, and south we have got the Nicobar Islands. Okay. Now, when we talk about Andaman Nicobar, the first misconception that people have is that, yeah, Andaman and Nicobar, these are the two islands. But to everyone's surprise, that Andaman and Nicobar are actually it's called an archipelago, and it's a group of over 527 islands. And what's special is, out of these 527 islands, only 36 are islands where there are people. Okay, so usually anyone planning their trip to Andaman, this is the most famous place people would be going to. That is the Port Blair. And I'm going to just divide into what are the core areas that people would love to, and what are the different things you can explore. First of all, we have these fantastic islands. That is, usually people make a trip to Swaraj Deep, that is Havelock, and Neil Island. This is where you explore your marine life. This is where most of your luxury resorts and places are, where you can experience a really nice vacation with the white sandy beaches. But what very a lot of people miss out is this entire northern part of Andamans, which is called Middle Andaman and the Northern Andamans, which is where your tribal culture, the native people live, and it has its own world. So when I'm saying ki Andaman is not a once in a lifetime trip, is because you have so many different islands to experience, so many different cultural aspects. There is the nature, there is the tribal culture of these islands. Then the southern part of Andaman, and that is the Nicobar, is something that you need different special permissions for. Getting over those two islands is another task. But you have, especially on these islands, the Narcodam Islands and the Great Nicobar Islands, you have some animals which are especially endemic to these islands. They can be not found anywhere else in the world. Yeah, so that kind of amazing wildlife we have over here in these islands. And what's fantastic that is that many of these islands animals are not just descendants of animals from India, but actually they are descendants of animals from Myanmar, from Thailand, and these kind of places. So this is one place where in India, the as mainland, as the people call it, there are certain groups of animals, there are certain groups of species, that of birds and animals that you see. But in Andaman, it's a heaven to find some really different kind of variety of wildlife and nature over there. Okay, so I will quickly go back to our main presentation. So this is the second point that I have to make. Okay, now you must have seen that there are a lot of different touring companies. There are a lot of different touring organization groups and people who have got their itineraries everywhere set on Trivago, Make My Trip, and different kind of places. And they have got amazing packages where you just click and then you're off to the Andaman Islands. But this is what, while I spend my time in Andaman, this is what I felt was something wrong happening. That is, people were spending a lot of their time just traveling from one place to another and just doing sightseeing. So we have day one sightseeing, we have got day two sightseeing, and just going to different places. There's a lot of traveling involved. Okay, now one thing you need to understand, and when anyone is planning their trip, even when I was planning my trip, this was my ambition. I wanted to visit all the different islands. I want to cover up as many islands as possible. But as you saw the geography, it is not possible, and traveling between these islands takes about half a day of your time. And what you do is actually you miss out, even when you're spending an entire 2 or 3 days. What you're doing is you're missing out the riches that you can have in these particular places, especially like a place like Elephant Beach or a place like Radhanagar, are places where you can spend entire day and just fall in love with the ambience. So this is what people are doing. Most people traveling to Andamans are doing, that they are in this race of going from one place to another, from traveling one place to another, and yeah, they're a lot of the time is going into just traveling and not actually experiencing the Andamans. So now the question is, what are we missing out? So these are, though we are checking out a lot of history, we are checking out places of human monuments that we have built, from Kalapathar jail to a lot of different museums that are there in Port there and different places. These are the thing. I think these are the core things that we are missing in the Andamans. That is, we are missing of the culture. And what I'm talking about is not the tribals and the local culture. I'm talking about just the ambience. Because this is where actually I felt that the foreigners are making the best out of Andamans, because they were coming with a plan of just 7 to 10 days, and they're staying in the most common of accommodations, and they're spending time with the divers. They were spending their times with the in the local cafes. They were talking to people and then finding out what is special about those animals. So because of that, the culture of sitting in the cafes in the evening, speaking to different divers, speaking to different people working on those islands, was a different culture in its own, especially for the Havelock Island. Then we had the forest that people are missing, the geography, as one of the members rightly mentioned. The barren island has its own. This is a volcanic island. Similarly, each and every island that I mentioned in these entire regions, it has a different, very different geography. Like the even limestone caves that are there near Baratang. These are some fantastic landscapes and very very rare in the sense that yeah, they will be there in some other places throughout the world, but in India, it's very rare to find these kind of landscapes. And that is what we have over here in Andaman Islands, birds and the wildlife. Now, this is something that is really special. Every insect you find, every snake that you see, or every bird that you see is something new, is something that is very unique, is something that is endemic to those islands most of the time. And another thing that I really feel is the most special thing is the scientific curiosity, because we are visiting today. Most of the people from India and other places are visiting to the Andamans with the idea of one-time luxury and one-time, just with the idea of a vacation. But we are losing out to scientific curiosity, that these are islands with really fantastic mysteries. There is mystery in the geography, there's mystery in the wildlife, there is mystery in the birds, there's mystery in the climate, and these are the things that we are missing out. So I feel that the kind of tourism that Andaman needs today is people going there with the curiosity to find something new, to find experience something different, to see the wildlife, to understand what the wildlife is, and to understand the tribes, the nature, the wildlife, the environment, the geography, and that the mysteries and the feeling of discovery that any explorer has, Andaman can still offer it in every location, and that is what I feel is missing out when we are planning these tour parties going to these places. Yeah. So now let's get back to the topic, and let's get to the main topic of exploring the marine life. So out of all these different things, we can have a discussion about each of these different sectors, from the geography to the history to the tribals. We can have a special session for each one of them, but my specialty is in marine life and wildlife for that matter, and so that's what we are going to discuss. So what we are going to do is we are going to discuss the different ways that you can explore the marine life of Andamans, and we are going to begin with something that is most common, that is the Andaman, that is scuba diving in Andamans. Yeah. So when we think of scuba diving, actually, we usually, those who are not very connected with the idea or the skill or sports that is scuba diving, they might not have an idea, or they might just feel it's an activity. But when I spend my time in Havelock, I realized that it's not just activity; it's a skill that you can develop. It's a activity, or a skill that you can learn. So Andaman is special from the sense that there are, especially on Havelock Island, there are some fantastic dive centers which are PADI certified. PADI is a international PADI, and there are other dive schools that are internationally known, and they provide certification for you to become divers. Okay, so if you're going as a nuanced person who has never done diving before, and you're just going to go for diving as an activity, you're going to do something called a disco scuba dive. Anyways, we'll talk about it in a few minutes. But what I wanted to show is that when you are diving, you're usually diving over here, okay, as a beginner. But there are all these different dive sites which have all these different locations have been explored by veteran divers. They have been searched, and all these different diving spots have their own different topography, have their own different speciality of the kind of environment they have, the kind of the depth that they have, along with what kind of wildlife and marine life you can see. So especially these dive sites over here, which are a bit far off, that is Jackson's, Johnny's, Minerva's. These are the more deeper dive sites where you see some of the most flamboyant corals, some of the most amazing species like the sharks and rays, and the wildlife is just phenomenal. But these dive sites are around 30 meters or so. Okay, so you need to learn the different skills of diving. So I'll just quickly go through the different skills of diving so that you also know when if you're ever planning a trip to Andamans, this is what you can consider. Because I would say ki, I have very little experience in the diving. I have just done my diving course over here, but from my experience, I would say this is where you can find some of the most professional and amazing dive instructors, and you can. I would say this is a really good place to learn diving in India. Okay, so usually as a guest, this is what you would be doing. That is the disco scuba dive or a try dive. As just a beginner going for just one dive for the beginning, that's usually this is what most people end up exploring. Okay, but if you're interested in exploring the deeper dive sites, if you're really exploring the entire skill or the activity that is scuba diving, then you have all these different host of options. So we begin with open water diving, open water diver course that allows you to go till 18 meters of depth. Now this depth is really good enough to explore some really different dive sites that are accessible via boat dive. And the marine life that you find we'll definitely discuss later on. I have got some really good photographs for you. But from octopus to different kind of big fish, schools of fish, it's a fantastic place. Okay, now as a just a person who wants to dive for fun, advanced diver is something that you can do, and this is where you get your best experience of diving, because you can go till the depth of 30 meters and explore all the different dive sites. Depending on what skill you are learning, you can learn how to do night diving, and there are many other types of diving skills, and that lets you explore the different variety of dives that are possible, and the different all the different dive sites that are there in Andaman. And the most special one that I mentioned, the Jackson, Dixon's, and Minerva Ledge, which are over 30 meters deep, but has some phenomenal marine life. That we can explore only when you are able to complete these courses and are a certified divers. The rest is later on when you become a professional diver. That doesn't concern us much. But this is how, if you really want to explore the marine life of India, this is the best way to do that. Yeah. So another quick thing, usually our if you have never dived before and if you're planning your trip to Andamans, this is I just want to break this expectation versus reality thing, because we are usually used to looking at images like this, which are photographed with different camera and big devices. So usually what happens is they have got flashlight, and which gives you these bright colors. Okay, but what the reality is, when you're going without proper lights, proper thing like that, you're seeing the actual blue world. Okay, you're seeing the world that is blue, and the colors fade a bit, because as you go deeper into the water, your colors are fading, and the only spectrum that is left is the blue color. Okay, but no ways this is something that reduces your the fun of the diving, and it usually only enhances, and it's the closer you allow, that's when you take a closer look, it's a fantastic thing to do. Okay. Now the next skill, and this is one of my favorite skill to explore the marine life, that is snorkeling. Okay, now snorkeling is basically you're using a snorkel, which you can see over here in the mouth, that allows you to breathe, and with the mask you can just keep your head down and keep swimming in the open oceans and keep looking at the different marine life possible. Usually snorkeling is done in areas where the reef is very very shallow, and it has some really fun things to see, and you can spend a lot of time with scuba diving. You have got time limitations, you have got uh, many different limitations, physical limitations too, which do not allow you to dive for a very long time. But with snorkeling you can explore different locations, you can explore the different marine life. Yeah. So I'll quickly go back to the map to show you which are the different places that I used to like to dive and check out the marine life from. So we are now back to the Havelock Island. So if you're totally new to dive snorkeling and you do not have the appropriate swimming skills nor the skills to snorkel, this is the place that officially where snorkeling happens. There's a nice trek that leads to this Elephant Beach, and there are some fantastic reef over here from the Google images. Also, you can see here in the shallow places you have got this entire rocky reef which you can explore. Okay, so this is where government there are some people who actually organize locals that organize snorkeling. So if you are totally new to the skill of snorkeling and have never snorkeled before, this is the best this is the place that you can snorkel and check out the marine life out. Now this is very special because earlier in times over here diving used to happen, but now diving over here in this location has been stopped. Now diving the skill itself, because there are some different kind of chemicals and different kind of things that are used in those skills, the marine life is usually gets slightly deteriorated when you there's a lot of diving that is happening. But because this area there's no diving happening, the corals over here are really flamboyant, and the entire reef and the marine life over here is really great. Okay, but besides that, this was one of my favorite places and spots to dive. This is the famous Radhanagar beach, which is Asia's most beautiful beach, as it was announced. And these are the different places that I used to swim. I used to swim all along this entire coast, and this was the reef that I used to check out. And most of the photographs that I'm going to show you right now are from these is from this reef, and this is where usually the seagrass area used to be. And I'll show you what kind of different marine life you can see in these different spots. So let's begin the photo journey. So as you begin your snorkel into the ocean, you're first surrounded by that is the fish, and here we have got some sergeant majors. These are really very colorful fish, which with a bit of curiosity, they won't mind coming very close to you and just swimming around you. And then we have the famous snappers. Now this you might also hear in your cuisines and dishes, but this is a group of fish which are considered very tasty, but at the same time there are big schools of these fish that are just swimming along the reef and mostly the edge of the reef, and this is where you can find these animals schooling around and going here and there. We have got surgeons. These are again a really good variety of colorful fishes. It's just fun to watch these guys around. And you can see over here, the dark ones are the males, while the light ones are the females. So usually they also have a proper group that goes along, and they usually eat algae. Okay, so there are a lot of photographs and videos where you see a sea turtle nicely napping on a rock, while these surgeon fish come on their backs and try to eat the algae of the shells. Yeah, here I have one video to show you guys. This video is from the Radhanagar beach, and here you can see a lot of variety of fish. Especially this footage I gathered over there was a big rock under which there were these thousands and thousands of fish just resting under the rock, and it was just magical because I was just going through this entire school of fish. And as I said, this and the fun thing is, if you know the habitat, because I spent over 6 months in these locations and I used to try to go for snorkeling almost every day and in the mornings or in the afternoons. And after some while you become familiar to these places, so if you go along with a person who is familiar to those locations, what can happen is they know what are the different rock forms or different locations where you particularly can find these kind of schools of fishes. Okay, now when you go closer to the reef, that's when you see the critters and the different corals. Okay, now this is a very important thing. If you really want to experience the marine life of animals, you really need to take a closer look. Okay, that's a very important thing because it has so much to offer, but a lot of it gets missed out because we are not taking a closer look at it. Okay, so when you take a closer look at it, when you try to analyze what you are seeing out there, you can find these fantastic animals like sea stars. On the bottom of the shore, they are eating different kind of other animals, especially in between the rocks. This guy you have to be really vigilant to see. This is called a sea tails pufferfish. Okay, usually when you are far off, this guy will be nice and slim trim. But if you go closer to it, this guy will just puff up to show as if it's a big animal. And if especially if some snake or some particular animal has tried to bite in, when this guy puffs up, it just fills itself with water and it just blows itself up, and it becomes really difficult for that animal to then be able to eat it whole. Okay, most of the animals in the ocean usually try to eat the animal whole. Okay, they don't use any cutlery to cut it in pieces and eat it separately. But that's what you can do. Okay, so this is a really fun animal, and as you can see, the name seal face pufferfish because its face actually looks like a seal. It's really fun to observe these guys, but they are always going along under the rocks or places like that. So you have to keep an very uh, be very attentive. Now, the most fantastic thing, or one of the most incredible things of Andaman are the clownfish. Okay, so there are these big sea anemones, anemones, which houses these different varieties of anemones. Now, this is the most common one that we know because of the movie Nemo. Okay, we have seen this clownfish in the movie Nemo, and that's why we recognize it so well. But there are also many other varieties of clownfish, or as they are known as anemone fish, because they live inside these anemones. Now, what is the reason that these fish live inside these sea anemones is because all these tentacles that you see are actually a bit venomous. Okay, they might not cause harm to you as such, but they are intended. They have got many tiny harpoon-like cells, which then can sting different kind of animals and different kind of food particles, planktons that come that swims along the shore and comes to these animals. So that's what they usually eat, and that's why it causes a bit of what we can call itching or something. They are actually close relatives of jellyfish, right? Now, what these smart guys have done is to have protection from the different kind of animals and different kind of wild animals that can come to attack these guys. What these guys have done is they have now got a skin that can tolerate the stings of the sea anemone, and they live in these sea anemones. And what advantage, as someone has mentioned, what kind of communalism is this? So over here, it's a symbiotic relationship, because what happens is the food that the clownfish collects, and the different kind of edible stuff that the goes as food to the sea anemone. Also, what these clownfish do is they are really good at maintenance. So they are basically the housekeeping for these sea anemones. So they grow over there any kind of sand that is entangled in the tentacles. If there are any sand depositions in the sea anemone, then these guys will pick it up and throw it out. So these for the sea anemones, it's very important that they remain clean so that they can collect the food that they need. So these anemone fish help them out in that way, and these clownfish then get a protection. So it's a really fantastic, a really good example of symbiotic relationship in the marine world. Yeah. Now here we have a really very interesting animals. If you, especially the chances of you guys seeing this is more during your what we can say scuba dive. Okay, now I will just quickly finish this snorkeling and scuba diving session, and then we'll go through some questions. These are just few slides, and then we'll have a question and answer session. Okay, so these are some of the most biggest fish that you can see. Okay, so these are called the humphead parrotfish. Okay, now these are usually very humongous animals, and I have got a video which is from the BBC to give a better understanding of what these animals are. Unfortunately, actually, I couldn't capture a good photograph of these guys because I had seen these guys during my dive, but I couldn't get my camera during that time. Stomping on corals, and in corals also there are a lot of different diseases that you see in corals. There are a lot of unhealthy corals also. So whenever there are corals that are growing unhealthy or they have some issues, these guys are reducing them. They are taking care of the care, and what we can say, basically what they are doing is they are improving the health of the coral ecosystem. Sheer number of these parrotfish has increased, and I feel that is causing a bit of issues for the corals over there. Okay, now what is special over here is, if you really love the white sandy beaches of Andamans, and I'm very sure Andaman is very very famous for that reason, then let me tell you, most of that white sand, okay, the 60% of that white sandy beaches have been formed because of the poop of these parrotfish. Okay, so it might sound a bit odd, but the entire sands of these beaches have been created because of the continuous feeding and recycling of rocks and corals by these animals over here. Okay. Yeah. The next thing that now we are going to take a much more closer look at the reef. Okay, I spent a lot of time swimming on the top of the reef, and very few times I used to go close. And I used to always wonder why there are a lot of divers who used to go for dives. They used to see the octopus very very commonly, but I always used to wonder why am I not able to see these octopus during my dives. And once what happens is, because of the tide shifting, I went a bit closer to the reef, and I was just swimming maybe a feet or two above the reef. And what I saw is a fun, unexpectedly a rock which was earlier red in color just changed its color to white, and I was just mind blown. So what was that? What just changed its entire color? And when I went close to it, I saw that this it was a octopus that had changed its color from red, or rather the brown of the rocks, to white. And later on, when I tried to go more closer to it, it became red. So it was trying to warn us, and it was trying to warn me that, please bro, don't come closer to me. And this is the white color was meant to make me afraid of what it is. And it really did its trick, because it's just fantastic to see that entire color change and its behavior. It then went later on under this rock and just chilled out. And you can see, as this is the photograph that I captured when I went a bit away from it, and it quickly changed its color back to the and not just color but also the texture. You can see over here the texture of the octopus has also changed. So these are really the masters of disguise. As I was saying, it's not that where I was snorkeling, these octopus were not present. The problem was that I was not able to observe these octopus. So that's the difference. These octopus are there, they are there in plenty, and the numbers are really good. But it's only that it's very very difficult to know where they are. You have to have really good and keen sharp eyes to spot these guys because they are no different than just another rock in the reef. So that's how amazing these guys are, and that's why you have to take a closer look and pay a lot of attention on any of your diving or underwater experiences to know where the amazing marine life is. Okay, now quickly I'm going to talk about the seagrass. Now, usually when we are talking about scuba diving or going to or snorkeling, we always consider going to the reefs. But there's a different kind of wildlife that we miss out in different habitats. So here we have got the seagrass habitat, which I had shown in the map earlier. So basically, seagrasses are these small weeds or algae that are growing on the bottom of the shore. Now, this area you might not see the sheer amount of fish and the sheer amount of biodiversity that we saw earlier, but you have got some special animals that are adapted for these habitats and that live their life over here. So one of them is the giant pufferfish. This guy is almost half a meter long or something like that, and is again a really interesting animal to see. And you have the small pilot fish that is just tagging along. This is also kind of communism, where this guy cleans up the puffer fish and also nibbles on any of the leftover food. Yeah, and this is the reason I used to go back again and again to the seagrass patch. That is because of the green sea turtle. Okay, so very few people are experiencing the sea turtles of Andamans in the ocean, is because we are used to seeing sea turtles if you have gone to any place like Velas or Odisha, then you have seen them on the beach when they're coming to lay their eggs. But to see them in the ocean is a totally different magical experience in its own. So these green sea turtles, they usually feed on sea grass, and that's why they used to come again and again to this habitat and used to see these animals gently grazing by. And these are most gentle and beautiful animals that you can see in Andamans. I mean, I have just stayed on top of these snorkeling along these animals without and they have just gone along with their work and kept on eating and nibbling on the seagrass, and you can just spend hours or just watching these animals. I have definitely got forgot the concept of time when I'm around these animals. Okay. Now this tiny bugger is really very interesting. Now, like the clownfish that we had seen earlier, this is also a type of anemone fish. And now this particular guy was very what we can say a really brave guy. Okay, because in fish also they have their own personality. Because usually when we are talking about wildlife, we don't consider animals having their own personality, but they really do. Now this guy was very brave because this is its home. Okay, at the bottom of the ocean, there is this sea anemone is called Hudson sea anemone. It's more flat and grows in these sandy areas. This is also kind of sea anemone, and this is where it lays its egg. You can see a juvenile right over here. Okay, so it lays its egg over here, and that's why it needs to protect. This is its home. Okay, so this guy didn't want me anywhere close to the this particular sea anemone. So what did this guy do? Is it kept on attacking me. It literally one at a point of time, it literally hit me on my head and kept on hitting my camera. And I was scared myself because I didn't want to disturb these animals, and it was relentless, and it literally scared me away till this distance. Now that sea anemone is about 5 to 6 meters away from me, and this guy came all the way top and escorted me away from its home. And that's the kind of bold attitude and bold personality that this particular fish had. And this was just phenomenal to know that this tiny animal could drive me away from about 5 to 6 meters away from its home. And I never expected this guy to come all the way till the top, and it did that. And it was really and a very most of the animals in the ocean usually just leave their eggs, but here is an example where when an animal is taking the responsibility of taking care of their young. This is an example of how such what kind of extent these guys can come to. This 1 inch fish could drive an what we can say 6 feet guy away from its home. That's how amazing and different kind of varied personality the marine life and different animals have. And that's what fascinates me again and again towards the marine life and wildlife of the world. Okay, another fantastic animals that we see in these beaches are the rays, stingrays. So here we have a blue ring masked stingray. We saw it in a video earlier also, and it's very difficult to spot these guys because they can just camouflage over here. If I had shown you, if you were along with me and snorkeling to see these guys, I'm sure they even if they were right below us, I'm sure you would have a difficult time spotting these, because these guys will just lay sand over themselves and just magically disappear under the sand. And here you can see its eyes, and here's how it breathes. And these guys will keep they are always along the bottom of the ocean, and they have got electroreceptors. Some of them have different kind of skills by which they can detect where the different kind of what we can say crustaceans, crabs, and different kind of animals are, and they will dig them up and they will eat them. And it's always fun to see these guys, though they have a really good tendency to run away. Now this guy, I think, was sleeping. That's the only reason I could get close to it. But usually these guys are runners. Here is an example of what I was saying. I tried to dive along with this. I saw this guy relaxing on sandy bed, and I chose to go along with it, and it just speeded across. And it's again, this is another animal which is really amazing to watch under the ocean. But unlike the sea turtles, these guys are very very conscious about their look, about their presence, and they will try to run away from us and keep our distance. So it's difficult to observe these guys. But if you're very calm and if you're swimming very calmly during a snorkeling, there are chances that you can see these guys. Okay, so before we come over here and discuss the other part of exploring the marine life, quickly can we have a question and question answer session? Karan,
Sure.
do you have any questions for me?
Yes, we'll quickly take them. I know we're pressing on time, but
Yeah,
these
true.
images are amazing, Anurag, honestly. So
Yeah, thank you.
I'm in a trance looking at your images. So I'll quickly take you through some questions which are relevant. Balwant Kaur had a question. What are few good universities and institutions in India providing professional degree courses in marine biology or wildlife biology? If you
Uh,
have any, you can guide. Uh,
yeah, so if you really want to study, so usually my what I have done is I have done my BSc in zoology. There are a lot of different colleges throughout India where you can learn. But what I would say, if you really want to experience and study about nature and wildlife, the best thing is outdoors. Okay, if you're not doing it for your career, if you're just a person who is interested in wildlife, the first thing I would say is just go out and explore. Even that's I have learned most of what I've learned as a zoologist or as a wildlife enthusiast is by going out in the field, going out for birding, going out for different kind of trails, going out and exploring the different coast and different kind of habitats that are there out there. Books can never teach you about nature and wildlife. Unfortunately, there are a lot of good authors who can write really well about nature and wildlife, but none of that can captivate the real beauty of wildlife. And the only way to know about it is go into the field, go for different kind of trails, treks, and safaris, and go to these different kind of places and explore and try to talk to people who are there. Talk to the local experts, talk to the people who live over there. you know if you talk to the local people, you can get knowledge that even a person who has done zoology or botany or has done MSc may not be able to answer, because local knowledge has a different kind of, and there's lots and lots to explore, left to explore in terms of wildlife in India. And if you're just a person who is interested in nature, you don't really need to do any courses. It's just you go along with groups, and it's for everyone, for from a doctor to an engineer to whatever field you're working from. If you're interested in nature, just look out which are the eco parks, or look out which are the different forest or forested areas or different kind of habitats that you have in your, even wetlands for that matter, or mangroves that you have along your region, and try to explore them. Any other question?
Yes, let's take one more. The questions are by Sushant. How differently is the biodiversity of Andaman and Nicobar Islands from places like Lakshadweep or the Great Barrier Reef? I believe you have something to share on that.
Okay. So, unfortunately, I have not been to Lakshadweep. This is what I would really would like to go. Nor I have been able to go to the Nicobar Islands because you need special permission. This summer or 2021, I'm planning to have some. I'm planning to go over there, but unfortunately, I have not gone over there yet. I may be able to talk about a bit of the marine life of Mumbai in comparison to that of Andamans, but I think that we can talk a bit later on. And in terms of great varieties, I think every location for that matter has its own difference, because the reef especially and the marine life definitely depends on the landscape. Okay, if you see the coral life of any place which has got volcanic islands, for example, even barren islands. Once upon a time, there was diving happening in barren islands, and these are just stories from my colleagues who have been able to dive over there. The marine life over there is fantastic because you have got very highly nutritive black soil or black ash soil coming from the volcanoes, and that really booms up the entire ecosystem over there. So I would say the marine life heavily depends on the kind of regulations the government has over there, the kind of pollutants or the kind of turbidity of that particular place, along with the how close it is to the equator, how what kind of topography it has. So all that is very very different from, and I have heard a lot about Lakshadweep. Lakshadweep definitely has a lot of manta rays and a lot of different marine life, which is even sharks for that matter, which are very easily visible. You wouldn't have to go as deep as 30 meters to check them out. But as I said, the entire Lakshadweep coral belt is very, very shallow. So you can experience and check these marine life very well. Also, what is beneficial for Lakshadweep and even Maldives for that matter is that they have got rich plankton bloom that is coming from the Arabian Ocean. Okay, a lot of currents that are flowing from there. So it really blooms the kind of marine life that you can find over there, which sometimes even includes the whale shark and things like that. And Andamans, it as I said, it depends on a lot of factors, and even hunting of sharks and rays is one of the issues that I feel Andaman faces, because when you're capturing or you're killing off the top predator of any habitat for that matter, you're creating an imbalance in the entire system, and that's why you see boom into the number of parrotfish, and then those parrotfish are later on eating your corals, and then you go in a negative spiral where you have decreasing amount of wildlife. So I think keeping a control on the hunting and poaching in these areas is really, really very, very important. And then the environment and the global warming is another issue that we need to keep a look at. Yeah. So
Sure.
sorry, I cannot answer this question directly, but some perspective. Yeah.
Thanks, Anurag, for that. I know there are a lot of questions, all of you who we've not been able to answer. I will definitely find to give you all a medium too. We have a group where we can get these questions. So we'll share all the connecting details. Just stay till the end of the session, and we'll let you know how you can help you answer all your questions. Okay, all right,
I
Anurag.
will be happy to answer any question that are okay. Let's continue. Okay. Now the most important question is, if you do not have the skills to scuba dive, if you, it's and it's not always in budget to go for these deeper dives and different kind of places. You might not have the skills to do snorkeling. Then how can you experience the marine life even if you don't have the skills and you really do not want to drench? Because another thing is, Andamans, I really hope that Andamans is not just a place for those who are elder, young adults. It's a place for even kids. It's a place for also older people. And this is the one way that you can experience marine life of Andamans without having any age or physical barriers. That is marine walks. Okay. So with marine walks is something that is always close to my heart, and it is one of my favorite activities. And there are some reasons that I prefer this, because there is no age barrier. I have gone to these places with kids. I have gone to these places with the grandpas and grandmas, and it has been a fun conversation. You can talk to them and everything. Another thing is, you don't need any special camera. You can just go with your mobile phone, or if you have any DSLR, you don't need any housing. You don't need any special waterproof equipment to explore these areas. Your physical limitations are few, because if you're going for snorkeling or diving, you need to make sure that you're breathing, and you are physically very, very fit to be able to go in these for these activities. But with marine walks, you have very less physical limitations. And the last and the most important thing is, as I said, when you take a closer look at the marine life, you can see something really, really fantastic. And this is here you can do that. You can actually take a very close look at the marine life, and that's really something I would say special, because you can actually go very, very close and see what kind of things you can see over there. Okay, so one question: when you look at this habitat, when you see this rocky landscape, what do you think? Do you think there's something worth looking over here? Can we have a yay or nay or something like that? Usually, yeah. Uh, Karan, I think there's someone called Snehal who really wants to say something. Can we have her unmuted?
Sure, sure. Guys, we've got an agenda to meet, so please don't spam the
Yeah, yeah.
chat box, guys. It makes it very difficult. Yeah, go ahead, Snehal. Quickly, you can ask the question. Snehal, you can unmute
Okay.
yourself. Okay. let's go ahead with
Okay, sure. Because we are running out of time. Okay, so basically, this is something that you will see during the low tides. Okay, now to do this activity, it's very important that you understand the concept of tides. The ocean keeps on going back and forth because of the position of the moons, and when the tide is lowering down, that's when you can explore these kind of reef areas. Okay, now this is definitely a part of the reef, and when you take from far off, you will just see these rocks. But when you go closer, that's when you see the amazing wildlife that has extent. So yeah, so here we have ghost crabs. So we'll just begin with the farthest of the shore, that is sandy beach. In the sandy beach you have these amazing crabs which are really fast. These are very quick. The reason they have got the name ghost crabs is usually if you're going at night, because at night is when the adults are active, and all you do is just hear these animals running across, but you do not see what it is. So it has scared a lot of people going across beaches, and these you will find mostly along all the beaches along India. The other very interesting animals are the hermit crabs. Now, this is specifically very favorite of mine, because these crabs are very smart. What they have done is, instead of making their entire own harshes, they are picking up the shells of other animals, snails or conches or things like that, and then spending their life in these. So they are very colorful depending on where they are. There are a lot of different varieties, and it's always fun to observe these guys along the shore and beaches. So, mind you, all these animals that we are seeing are just in ankle deep waters. Okay, ankle deep or matchback knee deep water. You're not going under the water. You're not going in deep. These are just ankle deep waters where you're going and exploring and checking these marine life out. Okay, other very interesting animals are these hairy stone crabs. It's very difficult to spot these guys at times. I think there's some internet issues. Hold on. Yeah, so these guys are as I said, it's very difficult, because you can see all these are algae. Most of the rocks over here are also covered with algae. So these guys usually go inside the rocks and sit in cracks and crevices, and once they have all the claws kept together, you just feel that it's a rock. That's how it got its name, stone crab, is because when they have all their arms pulled in together, they literally look like rocks, and it's very difficult to spot them in these habitats. You have got mud skippers. These animals usually remind us more of animals like frogs, and there's a very distinctive reason why. Because as you can see, this guy is sitting out of water by choice. Okay, mind you, I have not taken this fish out and kept it on this nice log to have a nice photograph. This guy has voluntary. You have it has water right below it. It could easily jump into the water, but it has chosen not to. Okay, so these are the mud skippers, and these guys have got the ability to breathe through mouth. And these are, evolutionarily speaking, these are some of the first animals that have developed the skills of breathing outside of water. And slowly we got later on we got lizard, we got sorry, we first got amphibians, and from amphibians we got lizards, and then other kind of animals. So here also you can see, okay, it has got developed. When we talk about animals, we have got four legs, and here you can see the fin being adapted into something that is much more stronger, and this is how it skips. And you just need to see this animal to understand what do I mean by skipping. Okay, yeah. Another animal which is which has a very important role in the ecosystem of Andamans are these what we call sea cucumbers. Okay, now they definitely look very alien. It's difficult to know what exactly this animal is, but what these guys are doing is with these tentacles, they take the particles of sand. They keep on eating sand that is there on the beaches, and they keep eating the biodegradable content. Okay, so basically these are the earthworms of the ocean. Basically, what they are doing is they are cleaning the sand for you. So the reason the sands of Andamans are very coarse and they are not sticky, they are not gooey, is these guys, because they are eating all the biodegradable stuff and the animals and decaying matter in these sands. Another important animal are these clams. These are all filter feeders. Now, what's special about this clam is that it has, over the time, it has burrowed through the rock and gone into the rock itself, and that's where it sits and keeps on filter feeding. The colors in these guys are really remarkable. It's something that you need. The variety in colors is really astounding. Again, there are a lot of different filter feeding animals. You may not believe, but this guy over here is actually a worm. It is a worm that has these fantastic colors. When we talk about worms, usually you don't think of something that is beautiful, but as I'm saying, here you have one of the most beautiful worms that you could ever see. And then there are the corals. It took me a lot of time, but yes, finally we are here closer to corals. And what is very important is when you are walking in these internal zones, you can take this a closer look at these animals. Okay, we have got a quick question of camera. The camera that I had used is a Nikon W300. It's a underwater camera, but this you could even capture via mobile if you have some water cover or something like that. And this is very close by. The reason I could capture these fantastic close by images is because I'm doing an intertidal walk, and here from the reflection you can see how close it is to the actually sea level. It's just and a few inches under the water, as I'm saying, just ankle deep water, and you can see these fantastic animals. Here we have a closer look at sea soft corals. So basically, when you are talking about corals, this is the actual animal over here. Okay, the rest is actually the skeleton. Okay, so it's again a very different topic to discover what corals are. But the best example is that a coral is basically a building with a lot of different tenants, and which are doing the job of filter feeding. And corals are really very interesting. The closer you look, the more amazed you get. We have got sea slugs in these areas, lot of different varieties, a lot of different colors. Usually, whatever on land you may feel disgusting or something ugly, under the ocean they are all fantastic and colorful. Yeah, octopus is again something that you can usually see in these areas if you are lucky. Yeah, because what happens is when the tide recedes, these guys are trapped in smaller pools, and they just spend over their time over there till the tide comes back. So if you're lucky, you can see these guys in the tide pools. Yeah, this is again a very remarkable animal. This might remind you of a seahorse, but this is very close by to it. This is called a pipefish, and it has got the similar kind of protection that a tiger has. It's a Schedule 1 species, and it's illegal to fish or hunt or capture these animals. And that's why it's even more amazing to see this animal in such a shallow depth and such a simple activity. Yeah, and then you also have the luck to, if you can spot a sea animal, you can maybe if you're lucky enough, you will see a juvenile of a clownfish, and it's very lucky to see this guys. Okay, now this is how the sea anemone looks in the day. Okay, now I'm going to take this entire experience a bit further and going to drastically change the entire whatever you're seeing over here. I'm going to show you how does that look in the night. So we have a sea anemone with a clownfish in the day, and here is how it looks in the night. Okay, so now you must be really wondering how are we able to see these different colors. Okay, that is not it's not just simple nature, but what I have done over here, I've used a UV light. Okay, so these animals, they have different varieties of algae inside their body, and these algae, they can induce fluorescence when they are put under the UV light. Okay, so this is actually not bioluminescence. Bioluminescence is the act of creating light, but over here this is more as fluorescence or reflected light. So they are reflecting the UV light, and we are doing that. When they are doing that, they are showing fluorescence. Okay, so this is a bit different from bioluminescence, but this is one of the most this activity I had curated for the guest of Taj, and it was just a fantastic and a fantastic experience. And this, no one over there in Andamans right now does this activity. No one. I mean, no one. This is what I had specially curated for the guest at Taj, and while I was working with them, right? And usually, if you want to see any of these animals underwater with the UV light, you usually have to have the skill of advanced scuba diver, and you need to learn how to do a night dive, and only then you can see these guys under the ocean. The session will be ending in some way. These are the last few slides, and then we can end the session, but just I wanted to show you what is possible to see in the night, and this is something that is very very rare. Here we have got some corals. These are rock corals, which again under the presence of UV light have just are reflecting the fluorescence, and it's just fun, and it's one of the most magical experiences one could have over here. Yeah. And this is an example of bioluminescence. So bioluminescence is also visible in Andamans, especially when you're going for the activity of kayaking. Okay, if you're going for kayaking in the new moon period, when there's no moon over there, that's when whenever you're kayaking, whenever you're paddling, you can see these planktons flicker, and it's again another magical experiences. But what happens is many of the people who are going to Andamans do not time their event along with the moon, and what happens is they end up going for kayaking activity during the full moon night, when the chances of seeing the bioluminescence is very very weak. So I would say it's really important to know the time and again the tide when you're planning your visit to Andamans to check the best what Andamans have for marine life. Yeah. Some animals are really, again, this is another master of camouflage, and I definitely if I had not paid some attention, I would have ended up kicking or stepping on this animal, which would have been really would have been very very painful for me, because as some people has mentioned, this as the doubt is correct, this is what they would call stonefish, but actually this is not a stonefish. I've not seen a stonefish yet over there. Many of the divers have, but this is actually a relative, which is the scorpion fish. Okay, now all the stonefish are actually a type of scorpion fish, but all scorpion fish are not stonefish. Okay, so the scorpion fish is a bigger group, but the main features are the same. They are really fantastic at camouflage. They usually live in the benthic areas and along the reef, and they are really voracious feeders, and they will gulp in all the different animals whatever comes in front of them, and they are amazing ambush predators. It's really difficult to make them out under the ocean, but at night especially, it's very easy to spot them. Yeah, with the lights and things like that. Okay, usually you won't encounter these much during your day intertidal walks, but it's always very important to again during any of these activities. It's very important that you don't go on touching things. Okay, it's very very important. Is there is so much a different marine life, and this is the rule that even I follow. Though I understand I study wildlife, I usually do not end up touching anything unless I really am very very sure about it. And usually it's better, the policy is better that you don't touch these wild animals, because you don't know what it is, and at the same time you want to let the nature be pristine, and you don't want those animals to be scared of humans, right? So usually it's better that you never touch any of these animals, but also be very cautious of where and how you're walking. So stonefish are venomous. They have got a spine on the dorsal side, which if this when it goes to the skin, it can lead to a lot of pain, and so that's why you have to be a bit careful in these areas. But the scorpion fish has got the spines to do that, but it's not exactly like a stonefish. Yeah, this is another venomous guy from the area that is called a lionfish. Now this is another guy you must be knowing, and this is a juvenile lionfish. That's why you can see these spines without actually the fins, and it's just growing. And these are some of the most beautiful animals, but at the same time these are creating a bit of problems in places where they are invasive, because they are again very voracious feeders, and they can end up eating a lot of animals, but there are very very few animals that can eat it. So because of that, in places like Florida, where they have become invasive, their numbers have literally shot up, because there is no one who can eat these animals, but they can eat the entire native biodiversity of these regions. Yeah, again, some if you are keeping an eye on the wildlife, you can see something really magical in times. Over here we have something that is called sea grapes. Basically what these are the eggs of cuttlefish, and over here you can see the individual cuttlefish inside these eggs. Okay, and it's, as I said, it's just magical to see these animals. And actually I even had some videos. If you can capture the videos, it's just fun to see these guys. It's like a photograph, but here you can actually see the animals wiggling and moving. Again, this is something that is very very rare, but if you observe, if you are very sure about it, you can see these guys. Okay, So here do I end, and this is the kind of this is very. I had a lot of photographs. Unfortunately, the plan was to end in 1 hour, so I still deleted a lot of photographs, but I couldn't keep up to the time because there's so much and there's so much of stories to tell. Okay, now there's one thing that I did over here. 5 photographs out of all these different photographs were actually not from Andamans. Okay, 5 photographs were actually from right over here in Mumbai. Okay, so you might be surprised that these kind of animals, that sea slugs and corals and even octopus and animals like these and even bioluminescence, we have right here in Mumbai. Okay, and similar to the stage of many different other places throughout India. The final message with which I would like you guys to leave with is that there are fantastic marine life not just in Andaman but along the entire coast of India. The only difference in the marine life of one main big difference between the marine life of Andamans and the marine life of any place like Gujarat or Maharashtra, Karnataka or Lakshadweep, or sorry, or I mean Chennai and other places is that over there we have so much of pollution that we cannot see through the water, and in Andamans we have got waters which are clear enough to see through. And if we have the ability to reduce the pollution of these areas, and if we are able to explore these regions during the intertidal zones, we can find something really fantastic. So I just one last message of what is happening in Mumbai. We recently, about 2 to 3 years back, we started exploring the marine life of Mumbai, and we found these fantastic animals from sea slugs to corals to sponges to even crabs and different kind of animals. I have myself seen an entire stingray of swimming in the oceans near Churchgate. But unfortunately, we just found about these animals, and today we are ready to let them go. If you have heard of this, so we just started understanding and finding out marine life of Mumbai, and today we are even ready to let these marine life and marine animals go. We have got BMC and other kind of organizations and developmental groups that are planning to destroy these coral habitats with different kind of activities like coastal road and things like that, and without keeping a check on the pollution. So we have just started exploring the amazing marine life of Mumbai, and today we are even ready to let it go, which is a very very sad thing. And what they are currently doing is they are trying to translocate these corals to some different location. But in terms of the difference between the marine life of Andamans and, or rather, let's talk about the corals of Andamans and Mumbai, is that most of the corals of Mumbai are stone corals. These are hard corals which are attached to rocks, while Andamans may have some branching corals which you can just snip it up and plant somewhere else and they will start growing. But over here, the story is very, very different. And because of that, though there are good examples of translocation happening in other places like Andaman and Lakshadweep, it's not possible and it might not give you us the same results when it's happening in Mumbai. And that's why it's very very important that we start discussing, we start talking about the wildlife, and whichever location that next time planning to travel to and explore, keep an eye on the marine life or keep an eye on the what kind of wildlife and nature you can find over there, and along with the human architecture and human history, try to check out the natural history of those places. Karan, I will let you take over from here.
All right.
And
Thanks,
Sir,
Anurag.
sir.
Go ahead, Adya.
yeah,
You had a question for a
So
while.
actually, I was waiting for the ending of the presentation. So
yeah,
actually, sir, first of all, the presentation was really fabulous, sir. Your
Thank you.
experiences was really like it was mind blowing, sir. And
thanks a lot.
just a small question I was having. Actually, I've heard a lot about Andamans and Andaman Island. So
Yeah.
actually, sir, which island would you recommend? Like I have a little bit of island like this
Mhm.
Corbin's Cave, and after that this one Radhanagar
So,
Beach, Elephant Beach. So
yeah.
like,
So, mhm.
which
so
is the yes, sir. Yeah.
yeah. So, as I said, there are a lot of different islands, and it highly depends on what you want to see. If you want to check out marine life, I would suggest going to Havelock Island, which has your Radhanagar Beach and Elephant Beach, because it has more or less marine life is a bit similar in different places, and you can check it out over there. I think that would be one of the best, yeah, easiest, convenient places to check out. Many of the other islands are either very difficult to access, or it is very difficult to what you can say, to find a good location to do your activities like snorkeling or diving and things like that. If you want to explore the tribal life and tribal culture and the limestone caves and things like that, if you are interested in forest, then Port Blair also has good amount of forest. There is Mount Harriet and Chidia Taku, where you can do fantastic birding, and northern parts of Andaman is where you can try to explore the tribal culture and tribal experiences of Andaman. So as I'm saying, there are a lot of different. Usually, people end up going to islands like Ross Islands and other kind of islands which have more of a what we can say, uh, human architecture and things like that. So it's very important that you uh, do a bit of your research, find which islands have what kind of features. But even in the most common islands, usually you want to try to go to the most rare of islands. But actually, if you go to even the most common of islands, there are still a lot of mysteries to uncover and a lot of different experiences to find. So I would rather recommend that you go to the most common place, most convenient place possible, but try to explore, talk to the people over there, talk to the divers, talk to the locals over there, and try to understand what are the different things you can do on those places. Yeah, and spend time. Because even if you go into Elephant Beach or to Radhanagar Beach, you spend some time over there, see what you can uncover and things like that. Don't make it a race of just check marking different spots and just going from one place to another. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for your question, and thanks Anurag for taking that so passionately. So really, it was a really amazing session. I think 1 hour was too little. Next time we got to plan a
Yeah.
longer session together.
Sure.
But thanks once again, Anurag. Honestly, this was a very fun, informative, and beautiful visual session. I'm sure all of you guys enjoyed. I know you'll have a lot of questions. I'm going to tell you all how you can get in touch with us. So as you know, we are on Instagram, both Enlighten Sapien and Naturalist Foundation. So you can tag us with your images or your questions. We are also on YouTube, so you can head out on YouTube, check the link in the box for the Instagram and YouTube links. You can ask your questions in the comments. So at the different points in the video which you would like to see, you can check out and put in your questions. Also, we have a photography community on Facebook, which I'm going to ask Anurag to join. And if you all have any
Okay.
questions, I'm sure he'll be happy to take us through and ask your questions, answer your questions. So, like we're saying, we've got a lot of sessions. So these all are sessions, and in self-care, in campfire stories. So we've got different fun sessions. Use the upcoming events link on our website or on our Instagram to get in touch with us on the different sessions that we have planned. Um, so you can register for all of them. They are free. And just a small update for those of you who've had the patience to remain for the extra half hour that we are here. We have a very unique session. A lot of people asked us, okay, now that you all are getting us here and you all are helping us understand our passion, how do I further it? Correct. So we came up with this concept of ES courses, which we are sort of helping you take a deep dive into these different topics, which we can help you. If for this is on public speaking in the virtual world. So if you like, for your schools, interviews, jobs, different places, now we have to represent ourselves virtually. So if you like, you can register for this. It's a certification course, and we'll be happy for you to learn along with us and go deeper into the subject. And that's what we're trying to do. So again, thank you all for being here. If you all have a skill or knowledge, whether it's graphic designing, video editing, whatever that you think that you like doing, and you can help the community, reach out to us via email or Instagram. And for those of you who like to keep us going and keep having these sessions for free and continue giving back this knowledge, You can donate any amount using the link in the chat box or in the email. And we'll be using these to continue giving these sessions and creating these beautiful events. So thank you again, Anurag, for that really, really, really informative and amazing session. And thank you all for joining us. And I hope to see you all very soon. A quick update. I'm sorry, since this took time. We had a premiere of if you like the intro video that we created. It's a meditative and relaxing video. You can check it out on YouTube, and you can play it whenever you're studying, meditating. You want to focus. It's a beautiful marine video on YouTube, and you can check out our past sessions as well. So I hope to see you all very soon, and thank you again, everyone, for being here. Thanks all.
Thanks, Karan, for this entire session. It was really, I'm really happy to see the response, and I hope everyone enjoyed. And as you said, please do connect with us. And thanks for this opportunity. And it was really fun doing this activity. Yeah.
It's our pleasure, Anurag. Really.